Hi, welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, I just did my due diligence, as you can see right here, and chipped away all the ice and the snow, and that is my legal requirement for the city. Oh boy, it took half a day to do all of that. In the meantime, yes, I had my generator at the ready here. In case the power went out. We had some flickering and some blinking on and off, but the power never went off for any appreciable length of time. So I think we've weathered the worst of it for now. If you're wondering, I suppose I could mention something about this. So yeah, this is a little Kawasaki 550 watts, which is like 4 amps of AC. And I know I don't do things officially because that's just too darn much trouble. So what I do to hook this up to the house when the time comes, I could make 2 of these, but I only made 1, is I just take a couple of 12 gauge extension cords here, and I just wire nutted them together. So I can plug this into the generator, and so I go downstairs and I turn off all of the breakers, and then I'll plug this into the plug here. So the deal is, this plug is on a 20 amp breaker on one leg of the 220. This plug is on the other leg of the 220. So whichever leg I need for whatever it is I want to power up the house. With only 4 amps, I can only run one thing at a time. But basically, to stay warm, I just fire up the generator, plug it into one of the plugs here, go downstairs, flip the breaker for the furnace. I have an oil furnace, so it needs very little current to run, and fire it up. This gas furnace here doesn't take hardly any current at all to run, so I could easily run this furnace here or the one in the house, or both, one at a time, off of this little generator. And that's how I take care of the power problem in the house. It makes it really cheap. I was given this generator in a state of non-running, and it just took a little bit of work, and I got it all fired up, and it works great. So on the shifter here, you can see if I lay this ruler down here and I get it just like that, so you can see how it's leaning towards the left there. And so this bottom part right here needs to come up straight, just like the ruler does. So see, I'm only changing it maybe 5 degrees or so. I just need the shifter to stand up just a little straighter, because when I'm in second gear, it's too flat to the console, and then the angle with my arm isn't correct. Here I am just cutting the welds on the shifter there so that I can re-angle it. I left it attached in one corner, and then after I get it bent and lined up, then drag out the welder and weld her back up. Have to do a little grinding there. It's especially around the top there. I want to make sure that the boot doesn't tear. I thought you might be wondering how I did my shifter. So I use those hard plastic, sort of rubbery plastic. They're rubber, but they're really hard. Bushings that go in the end of the shift rods at the transmission when you have a top loader. It's rubber, as in it'll be soft, and it will insulate the gear zinging noise out of the shifter. So the shifter isn't going zing, 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 zing all the time the transmission's running. which I found to be annoying. I tried regular grommets in this, but they don't last. And they won't handle the torque. So I just took a lesson from Ford. Okay, and then I use these little shouldered bolts. They go right through the hole. Well, actually, they go through this way. And they fit real tight. There. They're insulated from the transmission, but they're really tight, and so you don't get any zinging noises, but it gives you a good solid shift. Shifter's ready to be reinstalled. Well, so I ordered the water pump off real quick. You know, I really didn't see anything wrong with this gasket, other than it didn't have any sealer on it. It's kind of soggy though, and it's kind of weird the way the plating. I mean, this car only ran, you know, 100 miles maybe at the most since I did this, put this water pump on here, and look how the plating comes off. That's really weird. And same with the water pump here. It's you know, you can see the antifreeze, the anti-leak part of the antifreeze is coagulating.
In the circle is where I expected to find some sort of porosity or something.
I don't know, just weird. Did not expect that. Use a little Permatex on it this time, and I'm really going to stick the gasket. I mean, it makes it hard to come off, and yeah, I know it'll be a bugger, but it sure as heck won't leak. Yeah, let's see if my forma gasket here is still good. Oh yeah, looks like it. I am going to stir it up though. Oh yeah, good enough. Nasty stuff, boy. It will really stick that gasket down. Alrighty, let's just paint this stuff on here, and we'll see if we can't stick it real good this time and not have any leaks. I thought for sure when I tore this apart that I was going to see a spot next to one of these bolts where they ran the machine tool out across the gap and just cut a slot in it. But that is not the case.
I know some of you are really cringing at me using this stuff. But, you know, in situations like this where I'm unsure, yeah, I need the guarantee. These gaskets, you know, one of the things I do is I save gasket sets. If I'm rebuilding a motor or something and then I have to replace the water pump, then yeah, I have gaskets left over. So I just keep them and use them as spares when I need them. And I just so happens I needed them this time. Here you can see I'm actually taking a little time to line up the holes just right because I don't want to have problems getting the bolts in.
So, where this was leaking before wasn't from any of the places you would expect. It was coming out of this hole right here, out of the water pump right there. But you know what? There is no, I don't use that hole, and it's not, that hole doesn't go all the way through. So, I probably didn't have to take it off. You can see right here, see that trail right there? Coming down, that's because the water was coming out of this hole right here. And this hole is a blind hole and should not be leaking. So I'm going to have to put little short bolts into here. Oh God, it just goes with the territory, I guess. This is the kind of luck I have with parts these days. I ended up just putting some short bolts in here with copper washers and some form a gasket, as you were, Permatex. And we'll see if that seals it up. If it does, then that's fine. If not, I'll take the whole thing off again and go get another one. Speedway third member is now installed. No lube in it yet. I got to pick up some lube for the transmission and the differential. Well, that'll wrap up the projects that I wanted to get done while I'm waiting for the flywheel to come back. I did hear from Modern Driveline, if only to say, I'm not ignoring you. I'll get back to you when I get some answers. Okay, whatever. Let's see, I still have the carburetor to look at, but I'm not going to do anything with that. I don't want to mess with the way the motor runs before I get it back together and get it tested. The snowstorm ended. We had temperatures down 15 degrees or so for a while. And it was supposed to warm up and start raining. Well, what it did was it stayed 15 degrees and it started raining. So we had freezing rain for a couple of days. And now everything is covered with 2 inches of ice. Trees are coming down all over the city. A couple 100,000 people without power. I think now they've got it down to about 160,000 people without power. Well, you know, it doesn't sound like that much progress, but 40,000 people is 40,000 people. We did not end up losing power, but just the same, I was glad I had my generator and system ready to go in case I needed it. You can see that. Here's a video of my granddaughter skating on the sidewalk that I shoveled just a couple of days ago.
There we go.
Thanks for watching Don's Manufactory, and I'll catch you later. You guys be careful out there.